Hi, welcome to MindBlend, where we explore the fascinating facets of human behavior and psychology. Ever felt like you dance to a different beat? That you're not quite in sync with the social butterflies around you? Well, you're not alone. Some people are simply wired to be more solitary. They're not antisocial, they're just different, and that's perfectly okay. Before we dive into the telltale signs of a born loner, make sure you've subscribed to this channel for more insightful content. So, what exactly does it mean to be a loner? Contrary to popular belief, a loner isn't someone who's antisocial or dislikes people. Instead, a loner is someone who often prefers solitude over social interaction. Someone who savors their own company and cherishes their personal space. It's essential to understand that this isn't a negative trait. Loners aren't people who are always sad or depressed. On the contrary, they can be just as content and fulfilled as anyone else. They just find their happiness in different ways. They often have a unique perspective on life, a different way of seeing the world that can be quite enlightening. They value deep, meaningful connections over shallow, fleeting interactions. So let's debunk the stereotype of the lonely loner. Being a loner can be a strength, not a weakness. Now that we've set the groundwork, let's delve into the signs that you may have been destined to be a loner from birth. Sign number 1. You prefer your own company. This doesn't mean you dislike people or you're antisocial. It simply means that you recharge your mental batteries best when you're alone. You might find peace and solace in your solitude, perhaps curling up with a good book or exploring a hobby that fascinates you. The second sign is that you're a keen observer. Because you're not always wrapped up in social interactions, you have a chance to step back and watch. You notice little details others may miss. You might be the person who spots patterns and connections that slip by those who are more socially oriented. This ability gives you a unique perspective on life and can make you a valuable asset in many situations. And sign number 3, you're self-sufficient. You're comfortable with taking care of your own needs and solving your own problems. You don't feel the need to constantly lean on others for support or validation. This isn't to say you don't appreciate help or companionship, but you're not dependent on it. You're okay with standing on your own 2 feet. It's not about being isolated, but it's about being independent. In summary, preferring your own company, being observant, and being self-sufficient are all signs that you might have been destined to be a loner from birth. But let's not jump to conclusions yet. These are just the first 3 signs. Everyone is unique and we all have different degrees of these traits. It's not a one-size-fits-all scenario. It's also important to remember that being a loner isn't a bad thing. It's just a different way of experiencing the world. Loners can be just as happy, fulfilled, and successful as anyone else. They simply have different needs and preferences when it comes to socializing, but there's more. Let's continue with the next signs. Moving on to the 4th sign, you find solace in solitude. This isn't about being lonely, instead it's about finding comfort, peace, and even joy when you're alone. You may prefer your own company to that of others, and that's perfectly okay. There's a certain tranquility and solitude that you just can't get when you're in a crowd. Now let's talk about the 5th sign. You're selective with your energy. As a loner, you understand the value of your energy and time. You don't spread yourself thin by trying to be everywhere and do everything. Instead, you're selective about who you spend your time with and what activities you engage in. You focus on quality, not quantity. Your time is precious, and you treat it as such. And this brings us to the 6th sign, you're self-sufficient. As a loner, you tend to rely on yourself more than others. You're comfortable with handling things on your own, and you may even prefer it that way. From solving problems to making decisions, you believe in your abilities and trust your judgment. It's not that you don't appreciate help or advice from others, but rather, you have confidence in your own capabilities. These signs are not about isolating yourself from the world. They're about understanding your own preferences and honoring them. It's about recognizing that you're different, and that's okay. It's about acknowledging that you don't need to fit into society's mold to be happy or successful. Remember, being a loner doesn't mean you're antisocial or introverted. It simply means you enjoy your own company, value your time, and trust in your abilities. It's a way of life that suits you, and there's nothing wrong with that. So are you identifying with these signs? Well, we're not done yet. Stay tuned for the next part of our discussion where we'll delve into the final 4 signs that you were destined to be a loner from birth. 7th sign, you're a deep thinker. You often find yourself lost in thoughts, contemplating life's mysteries or dissecting complex ideas. This constant introspection can make you seem distant or detached to others, but in reality, it's simply your mind's way of processing and understanding the world. Moving on to the 8th sign. You prefer quality over quantity. This applies to your relationships too. You'd rather have a few close, meaningful connections than a large group of acquaintances. You value depth and authenticity in your interactions, and superficial socializing just doesn't cut it for you. The ninth sign is your self-sufficiency. You're not afraid of being alone because you're comfortable in your own company. You enjoy your solitude and use it to recharge, reflect, or pursue personal hobbies. This independent spirit allows you to navigate life on your own terms, without the need for constant social validation. And finally, the 10th sign. You're an old soul. You feel a strange disconnect with your peers, almost as if you belong to a different era. You appreciate the simpler things in life and have a wisdom beyond your years. This can make you come across as aloof or eccentric, but it's just another aspect of your unique personality. So there you have it. These were the 10 signs that you were destined to be a loner from birth. But remember, being a loner isn't a bad thing. It's simply a different way of experiencing and interacting with the world. It can be a source of strength, fostering creativity, independence, and a deeper understanding of oneself. So these were the 10 signs that you were destined to be a loner from birth. Let's recap the signs we've discussed today. We've journeyed through an intriguing landscape of self-discovery, highlighting the 10 signs that might hint you were destined to be a loner from birth. We started by acknowledging the importance of understanding loners, emphasizing that this term isn't a negative label, but a reflection of individuals who feel most at ease in their own company. We debunked the myth that loners are antisocial and instead highlighted their preference for solitude over social activity. Our exploration began with the first 3 signs. We discussed the ease with which loners enjoy their own company, the strength they derive from solitude, and their selective social nature. Loners are not socially awkward, but rather, they are selective and prefer meaningful interactions over shallow chatter. In the next section, we delved into signs 4 to 6. We highlighted the loner's independent nature, their tendency to be introspective, and their high degree of self-awareness. These individuals are often self-reliant, deeply reflective, and possess a profound understanding of who they are. The final part of our discussion covered the last 4 signs. We talked about the loner's preference for deep conversations, their low tolerance for inauthenticity, their comfort with silence, and their unique perspective on life. These individuals crave substantive discussions, value authenticity, are at peace in silence, and often possess a distinctive outlook on life that sets them apart. In essence, being a loner is not about being lonely or isolated. It's about embracing solitude, seeking authenticity, and cherishing meaningful interactions. It's about being comfortable in your own skin and thriving in the quiet moments of life. Remember, being a loner doesn't mean you're alone, but that you're comfortable with yourself. Feel free to share your experiences in the comments below. We're always eager to hear your stories and insights. Don't forget to subscribe and like this video for more intriguing content. We're here to provide you with thought-provoking discussions and insights, and your support helps us continue doing just that. Until next time, this is MindBlend signing off. Keep exploring, keep learning, and remember, it's perfectly okay to march to the beat of your own drum.